Rentrac has received some credit for helping the Obama campaign maximize the use of data to have a successful election. Can you talk a little bit about what you actually did for the Obama campaign and what's coming up for the Republican campaign?
Yes, I do want to start by saying that we approached both the Democrats and the Republicans prior to the election cycle. The Democrats did accept working with us. The Republicans turned us down. That situation now has changed. But let me first talk about what we did with Obama for America. Basically, from August 2011 through October 2012, we provided them with custom ratings based upon their voter files. They sent 25 million voter names and addresses across 44 markets to a third party. We then sent our operator name and addresses to that third party. It was matched in a privacy protected way, so we did not know who was whom. We got back a anonymous ID with a tag attached to it, and the tag would say this is Obama segment A, Obama segment B, Obama segment C. There were about 8 to 10 segments depending upon the market, and we didn't know what those segments meant. But what we were able to do is, for that year, produce for them on a quarter-hour basis in each of the 44 markets a rating for all the stations and networks in those markets. They then use that data to inform their buying process. And the results, I think, are twofold. First, how they bought. Typically, they bought about 60 networks deep in a market. And when they did buy a station, they were much broader in how they bought a station than the typical political buy. We looked at the Romney campaign. The Romney campaign bought on average about 18 networks and was much more narrow in where they bought during the day. So we were able to allow Obama to be much more rich in their selection of networks and time periods, also because we were using and measuring 230 odd networks compared to the other guys that are much smaller. So the network buy was much richer and broader for Obama. And what they have said in public is that buying this way allowed them to deliver 20% more of their target. So if they had spent the same amount of money but had bought on women 18 to 49, for example, or adults 18 to 49, they would have gotten 20% less of those key segments. So it was a better way to buy, a richer way to buy, a more efficient way to buy, and of course, since they won, and a more effective way to buy.
Were there psychographic segments that were added to the data?
We don't know what the segment definitions were. Those came from the Obama campaign. So all we got was this segment, this household has a tag saying it's segment A. So we don't know. And that was part of the privacy protection process. So however they defined those segments, I mean, you might think one might be union households or single mothers or you know, whatever key demographic segment that you might think. We don't know what they were. We just know that it was that segment, and we reported the rating on that segment. But we did not have any insight into how they developed those segments.
What was the turnaround for data delivery, since as you get closer to election day, time is of the essence?
Well, what we were doing is providing the data for every day for a year. We do have somewhat of a delay because set-top box data does not come in quite as quickly overnight. So basically you're talking about a 2 to 3 day time lag before you really get the most solid information on delivery. But as I said before, we were giving them every single quarter hour for a year. And by the time you're in October, you're pretty much saturated the market. You know you shouldn't be know what you're doing. So that I think that 2 day delay was meaningless at that point. And they had the stability of having that year's worth of data to track each quarter hour against each segment in those 44 markets.
So how did the Republican portion of your business come to pass? Did they suddenly approach you, or were they more receptive to your message?
After the election and the news got out, our phones started ringing. So, and we had been talking to them before, and I think structurally they had had some issues on their ability to use it, as well as I think just some management issues. But now we're very active, like national media, which is a leading Republican agency, has purchased us. We are involved this year in gubernatorial elections, that in this off-election year, and we will be very, very active on both sides of the aisle in 2014, the midterms.